Alright, what's up, my super heavy galactic family? We back for episode 2. We're gonna do a deep dive into cryptid fucking monsters today. And we got our boys Mike back on the track. Aquafresh is with us. We got DY back here.
What's up, everybody?
It's Reggie on the other end of it. So we're gonna get into a deep dive into cryptid monsters. And let's start out with a little bit of a definition, just so everyone knows we're talking about when we mean cryptids.
Derek, read the definition of cryptozoology for us, if you don't mind.
Yeah, cryptozoology is scientific evidence and subculture that aims to prove the existence of entities from folklore and other, things that people have seen.
That hasn't been classified in science or proven by science, whether it be anecdotal or photo evidence.
But you could always think also that with cryptids and like different types of creatures that are living out there or who have existed before and been talked about and written about, and people claim to have eyewitness accounts. You would think that sometimes maybe science or scientists themselves, they like purposefully declassify it,
Or this is stuff that hasn't been really declassified, right? So it's like where mythology meets science. These are all things that have been rumored and seen in very shitty videos and pictures. But beyond that, there's no real scientific classification or discovery going on there. It's all rumors.
Yeah, or like science could be trying to cover something up.
That's okay. Maybe we go there. And that may be a deep discussion that we have. But I think we should start out by kind of
just talking about.
Let's gloss over some of the more popular cryptids.
Popular cryptids.
And this may be a little more regular than people think, but Michael is our resident cryptid.
This is like all I do, man. Not literally.
It's kind of cool.
Not literally.
I'm
but
gonna get more into this.
Out of all the conspiracy theories, like this is the one that kind of interests me. I enjoy talking about and learning about. Whether or not I believe it, I just think it's an interesting subject matter.
Well, they say you need 4 years to get a PhD, but Michael's been looking into this whole
yeah,
time.
Crypto.
Real expert.
More like a couple months, but the cryptozoology, I could be a PhD if I wanted, because it's not really you don't get a degree in it.
You print your own degree.
Yeah, it's self-titled, and I'd say I'm a PhD student probably.
Yeah,
cryptozoology
researcher.
So
you don't need to have the PhD to be knowledgeable.
So the most popular ones are one you've definitely heard of, Bigfoot. Another would be
Sasquatch.
Yeah, Sam Squanch. And
like that. What's that commercial where it's the Bigfoot monster?
Oh, Jack Link's beef
jerky.
Yeah. But I say Loch Ness Monster. One you might know, Mothman.
And Mothman's cool.
Yeah, all kinds of other ones. Chupacabra. Yeah.
You can even go like dinosaurs are somewhat
Loch Ness Monster.
And then we'll get into a deeper discussion about dinosaurs themselves as to whether they're cryptids or something else. Entirely. So, the Sasquatch is pretty interesting itself because it's a very prevalent in cultural society. Like it's ever since they took that one video of it back in the day, where he turns around and looks at the camera. People are like, oh, he's wearing a costume or something. But also like maybe in that case. But there's too many cases. Especially across North America, the top half of North America.
The world, actually.
The world, of course the world, but we're just talking about North America. There are sightings everywhere from fucking Vermont to Washington State, and everywhere in between. And it's just too common. The details that people put out about these, figures that they see in the woods and also in the swamps, so they all match up, and there's no grand conspiracy.
It says I'm doing some research as we talk about this, and Dewey Lake Monster, which is in the Sister Lakes in Michigan, a lot of stuff by big lakes, the Great Lakes especially, and they call this monster Michigan Bigfoot, Sister Lakes Bigfoot, Great Lakes Bigfoot, and
so there are very like specific, localized instances aside from just the overall Sasquatch.
Yeah, and then I think there's a lot of misrepresentation by the media and contemporary society on like Sasquatch and Bigfoot because, you know, it's perceived as like humorous or like joke in a joking way where it's like, what a ridiculous theory. But I mean, I definitely personally believe in Bigfoot, but I mean, but you know, the name Bigfoot, you know, kind of makes it sound. I like Sasquatch
Stupid,
better.
yeah.
I like Sasquatch better because like Bigfoot makes you sound like the kook, you know.
Yeah, you know, people give goofy names to these things, whereas, you know, every Native American tribe has this creature prevalent all through their mythology,
Written
their
text about
folklore, you know, written text, art, everything. It's depicted as more than just a physical creature, but kind of a supernatural, ethereal spirit, protector spirit of the woods that can manifest itself at will.
Or Native American.
And Native American, you know, and worldwide, the exact mythology of, you know, I'm not quite sure, but speaking North America wise, yes. So it's, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's.
Yeah, so you want to finish the thought? Sorry.
Let's go for it.
Yeah, well, literally, it says on this website that's like pretty factual about sightings of Bigfoot.
What's the website?
Bigfoot411.com. No,
That's legit.
It's legit. It's like well done. It says how many are there? Unknown, maybe 4,169.
Oh, there's a lot more than that.
Maybe that's a pretty.
As many as 10,000.
That sounds more right. I think there'd even be more. I think that so many are unreported.
Ooh.
I think so many sightings are unreported.
This is good.
Sure.
It says there's a lot in the Appalachian Mountains, so does that mean about like Boone and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it's right above Greensboro. Check that shit out.
Yeah, I mean, as you can see, what we're looking at is essentially like dots and markers on a map that indicate different sightings. And it travels up among the Appalachian Trail. Mm-hmm. It follows the Appalachian Trail and the contour of it. And that's where people are. I've got a point here. Let me make this point. And the thing is people travel on trails. People often don't venture into austere, untraveled path. They stay on already bushwhacked paths. So what we see in the woods when people are like, oh, we would have seen him by now, but these creatures are probably intelligent enough to stay away from areas where humans populate. They're smart enough to recognize that humans are a danger to them because humans are so numerous. I don't actually know the thought process of these creatures, but they're smart enough to realize, stay away from humans. So the only contact humans have with these creatures is when these creatures mistakenly wander onto paths traveled by humans.
And I think that's the thing that makes them kind of interesting is that they're not really aggressive.
They're not.
They sometimes there are reportings of them having like children with them, like they're carrying or walking with children. And the whole thing about these guys is, you know, they're huge. That's what's been reported. They're ape-like. That's what's been reported. But they're also incredibly avoidant. Like that they come across humans. The reason there haven't been many sightings is because they want to get away as quickly as possible. So even if you see them, they're most likely just to dart back into the woods and get away from you. And that happens everywhere from the fucking Appalachians to the swamps down in Florida and Louisiana. Like there are different kinds of Sasquatch depending on where they are. So I think that's kind of an interesting thing that they all have the same characteristics.
And it's really crazy. I mean, it's showing this worldview, just to like get a perspective. But half of the world's population lives in just 1% of the land. So
India and China.
Well, essentially that it's showing all these black areas around the globe where it's all forest or ocean or not like
Unpopulated.
There's a lot of unpopulated areas and a lot of places where creatures like this could hide out, you know?
Are all the yellow dots Bigfoot sightings?
No, those are all the
civilization.
That's civilization.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So there's tons of areas where these guys could exist and just be hiding from people. Like they could have their own little communities.
Yeah, that's the thing is like humans, we stay close to water sources. We're all bunched up in certain areas. We're not spread out in every little place. A lot of Canada is completely uninhabited, utterly uninhabited, except for, you know, small little Native American village pockets. there's so much land for these things to operate and live just completely under the radar. And you're like, well, why wouldn't Google Images or Google Satellites see it? Well, they wouldn't, because there's so much tree cover. And these satellites aren't digging in through trees. It's not thermal satellites. It's not infrared satellites. Those are limited government assets that are only used for other functions besides looking for Bigfoot.
You're definitely not looking for Bigfoot.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, check this fact out. Well, basically, we all know that humans, like, we concentrate in cities and towns, and there's 747 million acres of land that are available for Bigfoot or other cryptids, other societies of whether could be anything from ancient creatures to different species we don't know about. I mean, we think about the fact that, 70% or something like that, I don't know, I'm just throwing that number out there, but a large percentage of the ocean remains undiscovered. Think about how many things are hiding out in places we have no knowledge about.
And people say that, then people like hikers and campers would go out and find these things, but also like humans are smart too. When we go out into nature, it's not like we're just walking into the forest and walking around. Like Michael says, we're usually on paths. Yeah. We're on some kind of beaten track. And when we walk across that, like that's where the other animals know not to come across, because that's where all the humans go, is on these paths. So when you're walking down it, you're not going to see anything else, because all the things that are around you probably know that's if they want to get fucking killed, they go out there and see the fucking humans. If they don't want to get killed, they stay away.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's a good point. Like, these creatures are intelligent enough, not just Bigfoot or a Sasquatch, but like any cryptids that, people have, say they saw or, that evidence of. These creatures are probably intelligent enough not to go on human paths that are in the woods. And that's why a lot of these sightings, I mean, how often do you go into the woods without, being on a path or, with somebody else? How often as human beings, especially with the internet now and everything, how often do we go out in nature and just walk around into I haven't even been in the own woods in my backyard. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And the thing is, I'm definitely not the only person.
Out of the entire human population, how many of our population is actually like outdoorsy people? And I don't mean like you went on a hike outdoorsy. I mean like real like bushwhackers. Very few. I know, like I've been around a lot of very outdoorsy people with what I've done, and very few of them actually go bushwhack recreationally, because most of us are burned the hell out on what we do for our work by the time we have vacation time to go bushwhack.
Yeah, and I mean a lot. I mean, especially if you think about the way civilization is progressing right now too, and just our generation, like, our generation was like the first one, like Facebook arrived and everything, and now this new generation of people, like, they are so accustomed to that they don't really go out and do things anymore. There's like less people out on weekends, and this is like, I totally believe the fact that cryptids exist because of the fact that human beings spend most of their time inside, and on top of that, we don't explore. We explore places that we can take pictures of that are known to be, good. We don't go explore unknown places.
We don't, and there also like maybe a nocturnal aspect to these things. Just the same way that they wouldn't approach human paths if they don't want to be sighted and attacked. They probably wouldn't do much during the day either. They would probably go out at night and do much of their hunting then. They're intelligent animals, and so they would probably do what was least risky and could get them the most reward.
Yeah. Well, moving on, we can talk about some other creatures. I think one that would bring up interesting points is one you're all very familiar with, the Loch Ness Monster, the whether it be dinosaur, dragon, whatever your interpretation, big swimming lizard thing of Loch Ness in Scotland. A very cold water, deep, murky lake. Very just an inhospitable lake carved out by a glacier many, many years ago, full of eels and other gross, slimy creatures. Generally a very unfavorable place to swim and hang out. However, supposedly, allegedly, there is a large plesiosaur-like creature. For those of you who don't know what a plesiosaur is, it's that swimming dinosaur with flippers and a long neck, and which I'm sure you can put together in your head by now. But lots of sightings of that have happened, but they in the recent, around modern times, past couple of years, there hasn't been as much. It's been pretty quiet.
Well, yeah, I mean, there has been a couple recent sightings, but we don't know like how factual they are. But there's definitely evidence that there was something going on, because there's multiple reports from the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, and even up till the 70s, and there's a big gap between 1977 and 2007 with sightings.
That's a little convenient, There's a huge 30-year gap between them seeing it.
Yeah, my theory is...
Yeah, so I think a lot of your theory is that maybe the Loch Ness Monster...
Yeah, like, my theory is that it was once real, it is now dead, and decomposing, or completely decomposed at the bottom of the lake with zero proof that it had ever lived.
It could well have survived into the 70s and died then. And then everything in 2007 is when people have enough CGI or anything to make something look like something.
Yeah, I absolutely believe it was once real. However, I think because there were so few of this thing, there could have been one of these things trapped in this giant glacial pond, that it eventually reached the end of its life and died without having bred, and that's bloodline is included. Yeah, just one of them.
Another interesting thing about, this creature or cryptid is the fact that there's been multiple sightings, not only in Loch Ness, but across the world of, in American folklore, it's called Champ or Champy, and it's supposed to be
Lake Champlain.
It's supposed to be the name of a lake monster, and there's been multiple sightings of, wow, really? 125-mile-long body of fresh water. There's been multiple sightings. And this creature's supposed to be very big in size. And
Derek, look up something real quick. I'll talk for a little bit while you're looking up. Look up a plesiosaur encounter with the Alvin submersible, the Navy Alvin submersible. I think that's a really interesting story topic. I'll essentially give you the lowdown when the Alvin... What?
How do you spell it?
Alvin, like Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Okay. Alvin who?
The Alvin submersible.
Submersible.
Or submarine. Navy, and then type in plesiosaur. Essentially what it... Well, we're going to have it pulled up very soon, but... if you go down, essentially what it is, Derek, just see if you can find it with the Alvin cryptid thing. Okay. Essentially what it was, when one of the times Alvin went down with its Navy pilot and the science researcher, they encountered very closely something resembling a plesiosaur. All right, Derek's got it pulled up. See if you can read off. Let's scroll down and find some information that we can read. All right, go ahead. Go for it if you got some information.
For sure. They're about 5,000 feet down when they saw this creature. And they went deeper and spanned they did a lot of readings and stuff. And it was a thick body with flippers, a long neck, a snake-like head. Sounds like the Kraken, dude. Yeah. With two eyes looking right at them. It looked like a big lizard with flippers.
Which is essentially what a plesiosaur looks like. It looks just like a big-ass lizard with a bunch of flippers.
Yeah, it's called the Alvin plesiosaur. And the thing with submarines too is like I know I have a source family related who has knowledge of submarine satellites and especially submarine warfare, and there's a lot of facts about how sonar and radar can pick up different types of things, whether it's different ships that are further down or things under the water, but they use high frequency radio waves and they can communicate or find creatures or civilizations underwater.
Let me state that this happened on July 20th of 1965 when they were making the Alvin's first dive to 6,000 feet. Or 1,800 meters. This is very far down. There's no light. only the lights of their submarine, they saw these things. So these aren't at the surfaces swimming around with Nemo and Dory. These are very deep water creatures. And a lot of scientific theory is that large creatures cannot survive at these depths because of a shortage of food. However, nothing is stopping these creatures from swimming up closer to the surface at night to feed, and then swimming down into the depths during the day to hide and stay out of sight and digest their food and hang out, because there's always a bigger fish, as they say. And an apex predator is a predator that nothing feeds on it. It is at the top of the food chain. And, something like the killer whale, the sperm whale, I would say the great white shark, but it's actually been shown that killer whales hunt great white sharks, so the great white shark cannot be an apex predator.
It actually says here that a lot of people that have, described the Loch Ness Monster, or a lot of Loch Ness Monster-esque creatures that have been spotted, like sea serpents and stuff, it says right here that a lot of researchers, like scientific researchers, believe they may be some kind of relic plesiosaur,
Yep.
So that's really interesting. I totally believe this one.
Yeah, it's like,
I'm in on that.
like it's hard to believe initially. You're like, oh, that's kind of weird. But at the same time, like, the ocean is so large and undiscovered, and we can only be like the Alvin submerged. Like, we only have so many submarines that can go that deep. We don't have like tons of these things. We have very few, and most of them are owned by the government. So you have to book them years in advance. So how many eyes we can actually have in the deep ocean at a time is incredibly limited. Probably you can count them on both your hands at a time. You want to say something, Derek?
Yeah. Here's the top sightings of sea serpents in the U.S. Raystown Lake, Pennsylvania. Reports are mainly of a large, dark figure swimming just beneath the water's surface, and a long neck with a small head extending above. Sightings go back for a few decades, and there are plenty in recent times. Cryptozoologists are dubious of the creature because Raystown Lake is a man-made reservoir. Then there's a couple more. There's only 3 more. Wallowa Lake Monster, Oregon. Wallowa Lake, a long snake-like beastie, possibly with horns atop its head. Accounts go back to the mid-1800s, and Native Americans are well aware of the creature.
I'll believe anything a Native American says about nature.
That's true, because that goes back to what I was saying earlier, how a lot of us don't spend time outside these days. Native Americans were always outside, so they were always in direct contact with things like this.
So they're much more likely to come in contact. They were actually bushwhacking. They weren't walking the trails.
Yeah, and they were also
bushwhack.
They also did a lot of things like that.
Bushwhack.
And then there's Lake Willoughby, Vermont. Seems like a lot of stuff is in Vermont and Michigan.
It's cold water.
Oregon. It's all up north.
In cold water.
It seems like all these sea serpent, lake monsters, other cryptids revolve around, big lakes or cold water.
Cold water seems to be the recurring
because you don't
thing.
see a whole lot of lake monsters, down on the east coast towards the south.
Well, they could be out in the ocean. That they could.
Yeah.
Be, but we won't see them, and when they're in a contained body like a lake or something, they're easier to spot.
Well, and if you think about it in the sense that snakes usually, prefer cold environments. And it's like a sea serpent.
Well, I wouldn't say snakes prefer cold environments, but I think what these creatures might have different than snakes is they have blubber stores. We can only theorize and guess because we don't actually have the full anatomy of these creatures, because a full skeleton of these creatures has never been discovered. It's all been artistic license putting in the finishing touch of these creatures. But I would imagine...
But they don't need an outside source of heat in order to survive.
That's their blubber stores.
I disagree with one thing. I think there's definitely been discoveries of creatures like this by the scientific community, but they classify it as dinosaur fossils of a plesiosaur instead of this.
Yeah, well, I mean, this could very well be a plesiosaur, and there could very well be plesiosaurs out there.
That's the thing with cryptids. I feel like a lot of...
Are dinosaurs, man.
Yeah, a lot of cryptids could go back to the Nephilim, dinosaurs. angels crossbreeding with humans.
Read off.
Let's
Get a
break that
definition of
down.
Nephilim. Yeah.
Let's break that down a little bit.
Right.
First.
Just
We
I
dropped too
promised
many.
a
We
fourth.
dropped too many.
I promised a fourth lake, just full Lake Indiana, a massive 500-pound snapping turtle, first reported in 1898.
Well, what's funny about that is if you imagine what a plesiosaur, or imagine what a turtle looks like without its shell, it would look like a plesiosaur.
Yeah, and a lot of snapping turtles have very long necks.
All right, so what did you want me to look up? Nephilim?
Yeah, because the people listening right now probably have no idea what those are.
Nephilim and dinosaurs?
Just Nephilim.
Okay. Yeah, Nephilim, I'll give you, I mean, I have an idea. I could probably give you guys my own definition, but I'll read it off.
Go for it.
The Nephilim were the offspring of the sons of God and the daughters of men before the Great Flood, according to Genesis.
So this is biblical stuff we're talking about.
Yeah, but it's also, it could be biblical. I think a lot of it could also be related to ancient aliens and aliens. The way I look at Nephilim is either aliens breeding with apes to create us, or aliens breeding with humans to create more intelligent humans, or it's gods and angels and demons, having sexual relations with humans and creating the Nephilim, which is some sort of crossbreed.
Yeah, and here's where we all kind of go our different ways, because we all have a different interpretation of what the Nephilim are and the theology aspects of how far removed they are exactly. I stick more to the theology side of things and believe in, God and the angels interaction, whereas these other two here would subscribe more to the alien crossbreed theory.
Well, I think it's a little bit of both, because I think...
Oh, well, you can't pick both. You can't do both.
Well, for me, I mean, I'm still undetermined. And one thing is, I believe that a lot of biblical figures or people that came from above could have been ancient aliens, and a lot of prophets and possibly.
Well, it's a distinction in definition. So you say angels, I say aliens. They came from above. They're described as being coming from the sun. And
either way, they're not human and they're greater than us.
Well, and going to the Nephilim, what I believe the Nephilim are is basically a genetic experiment, and basically they are humans like 1.0. Like we are Nephilim 2.0. Basically, we are the combination of either angels or aliens combined with apes, but in a way that makes us much more of the alien side, whereas the previous Nephilim, maybe the dinosaurs that we're talking about, maybe the Sasquatch, like that, those would all be more on the coming from nature side rather than the alien or angelic side. So I think that it's just a genetic experiment, and one thing that's interesting when you talk about Nephilim is it's all pre-flood. Nothing happened since the flood with the Nephilim. So maybe the explanation of that is it's a genetic experiment that failed, and whoever set up the experiment wanted to wipe out the product of those that research.
And it says right here, the origination of the Nephilim begins with the story of the fallen angels. An angel of high rank led a rebel sect of angels.
What was his name?
And they descend to Earth, Satan, to instruct humans in righteousness.
Shem-Hazal.
This went on for centuries, but soon the angels. It says soon the angels.
Where are you reading it?
But soon the angels.
The tutelage went on for centuries, and soon the angels pined for
human.
Human
females.
That means lusted. After lusting, the fallen angels instructed the women in magic and conjuring, mated with them, and produced hybrid offspring, the Nephilim.
See, when I think of hybrid offspring, that sounds alien to me.
See, this is where we deviate, because that is what I read too was essentially what I believe. I believe in the theology side of it, and you are welcome to believe in whatever you want. I'm not going to show you on mine.
Either way, though, and it's cool to talk about, because I honestly could, I don't know what's real, what's not, and I believe that both sides are definitely possible.
Well, okay, so the results are the same. We think that they're hybrids. We think that they are cross-pollinations. The starting point, the origins are different. But Michael, I'm wondering what you think was the intent behind creating the Nephilim.
Well, it was not God's intent. It was the fallen angels.
It was the renegade angels.
Yeah, it was just they wanted to
So
do.
what was their intent?
To just do bad and spite, their.
How was that doing that?
Because that was against God's word.
So kind of
interacting
like,
with the humans, angels and humans had to be separate.
So
when they were kicked out for when they were kicked out for their insurrection, they wanted to do things that were specifically against His word. Derek's signaling to us.
Oh no, I was just making sure we were keeping it on cryptids.
Cryptids, that's right. We shouldn't deviate too far.
Yeah, well,
anyways,
we can go into the Nephilim for
another
a
podcast.
long time.
Yeah, let's do that another podcast. Anyways.
Well, the reason we're getting into Nephilim is because maybe that is the origin of what we consider cryptids.
Yeah, exactly, and that's kind of where we were going.
Good.
That's where we're going is like, exactly.
That's good.
And a lot, the way I look at it is like, who's to say these fossils that scientists found are dinosaurs? What if it's just Nephilim or cryptid creatures?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, let's look at some more interesting cryptids. Yeah, for sure. Michael, do you have any others on your head that? Like,
there's a whole category of cryptids that we haven't really gotten into, and they're a little more obscure, but may also be more wide-ranging than anything we've talked about so far, which is something called skinwalkers.
Humanoids.
More humanoid-looking cryptids.
When I say humanoid, I mean having the shape or form of human, 2 arms, 2 legs, walks upright.
But very distinctive from humans.
Yeah, very distinct. Obviously not humans, but of a similar form.
And then maybe, in stature, maybe like, hobbit-like figures.
Oh,
Could be continued humanoid. But also maybe like things with big eyes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What are we seeing here?
Derek's got 14 facts
about skinwalkers that will 100% scare the shit out of you. Does it sound?
Let's read them. We're going to read them, and I'll tell you if it's true or false from my extensive knowledge.
You're the cryptology expert. You can let us know.
All right. 1. A skinwalker is a person with the ability to transform into any different type of animal at will. That's for the most part true. They're typically Native American witches or Wiccan.
And that's why they call them skinwalkers.
All right. Here, I'll read one. We'll alternate. 2. They're most frequently seen as coyotes, wolves, foxes, eagles, owls, or crows.
Well, that's like every fucking animal, so yeah, I would say so.
But okay, those are all very popular in Native America.
Typically, coyotes and wolves, that's a typical one.
Well, this could also tie into like werewolves and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'll read number 3. Some can also steal the faces of different people and could appear as someone that you know.
Yeah, that they can do that. Typically, they have to kill the person to do that.
Purportedly.
But yeah, they can actually like read your. I know like I'm saying some crazy shit right now, but they can read your mind. So they can scan. It's like looking at the contacts on your phone. They can look in your brain and look at the people you know and who they are and mimic their voices.
Well, you've seen Game of Thrones is the same concept as a warg or someone who changes.
A warg's like a wolf thing in Lord of the Rings too. Anyways.
There you go.
All right, did you read 4?
4. Read 4.
If you accidentally lock eyes with a skinwalker, they can absorb themselves into your body and take control of your actions.
And that's exactly what Michael was just talking about.
Yeah, it's there's a difference between them actually becoming you and just them putting like a little bit of mind game with you. Yeah. They've been known to do that, but it's not common. Their end goal is more to take someone as a trophy, if you catch my drift, and
just mess with them.
Yeah.
All right. You want to read it?
5. Rare skinwalkers also have the ability to enchant the powder of corpses and use substances as poison dust on victims. Yes, they do have that ability.
Michael's so sure.
Yeah, they do have that. They can launch projectiles like bone or other things that cannot be detected by modern medicine. They can only be extracted with Native American.
Cough, CIA, heart attack gun.
Yeah, very similar.
Well, they
can only be dealt with by Native American medicine men, if that is true.
What if there's alien hitmen after us?
6, I'll just read this one. The legend of the Skinwalker originates from the Navajo, a southwestern Native American tribe. Yes and no. A lot of Native American tribes have
different types.
Yeah, a different type of this. However, it's very prevalent in that specific tribe.
Well, and this is one thing that happens with cryptids is that we have an archetype and then we have variants. So we have Sasquatches that exist.
It's like how human beings don't all look the same, you know.
This is true, exactly. But
We're
everyone
different
is human beings.
races, different heights.
If you thought of
different
as a
hairstyles.
human being, as a cryptid, there's a bunch of different variants.
There's different variations, different, and there could be different types of the species,
So we don't know what kind of skinwalkers there are. Maybe this is one of the most uniform because their whole thing is about changing their shape.
Yeah, and they stay out of sight. You could have seen some, but they look like animals.
But the fact that they're just Navajo, that doesn't they're also in other cultures.
Did we already discuss the fact that
tribes?
A skinwalker could be also like a reptilian?
Well, the matchup between the two is pretty
similar, but
I don't know anything about this, so go ahead.
So reptilians, one of their main capabilities is that they can change their skin, or at least has been purported. And the other thing that makes them very similar is their bloodlust towards humans. They are obsessed with getting into the minds and into the fucking bodies of humans, just like skinwalkers are.
Yeah, I wanted to point out the similarities because a lot of people say,
there
our global economy and our politics are run by reptilians, and who knows if that theory is
Let's read the next one.
All right, for the next one, skinwalkers have only
you skipped one.
No, we didn't.
So in the Navajo language where they came from, the word skinwalkers is Yi Nangloshi, and translates to "he who walks on all fours."
That is true, and you're not supposed to say that. It's bad luck, so that's why I wanted Reggie to read that one. So, that's what it translates to, because typically these things walk on all fours because they're wearing the skin of an animal or something like that. They don't actually transform into it. They wear the skin of it, and then it enchants it, and then they become that.
They take on the property. So
it's like a person witch thing, and it puts it on, and then it turns into that.
8. Skinwalkers have only entered the public discourse relatively recently compared to the other phenomena.
Like Sasquatches and Loch Ness.
Yeah, other cryptids. In 1996, a team of scientists ventured to a Utah ranch to investigate a series of bizarre phenomena.
Yeah, they're all in Utah.
So there's a video that talks about rakes.
Is rake a skin?
It's like it's a synonym. It's synonymous.
It's very synonymous.
So I've heard of a rake before. I've heard them called rakes.
That's this.
Oh,
it's
so
synonymous.
rakes are skinwalkers.
It's synonymous.
Right.
Yeah, rakes are scary.
Yeah, they're scary as fuck. So let's not watch that video. 9. If their other powers weren't enough, skinwalkers are also said to be able to run incredibly long distances. Some say over 200 miles in one evening. That's true. They've been clocked anecdotally at 50-55 miles per hour on a flat surface sprint. Being able to keep up with cars on back roads.
Yeah, dude, how would they ever be caught? People are like, how would this creature ever, they're probably sneaking around all the time. There could be one running by my house right now.
No, they're incredibly.
Well, not only
this
isn't talking about speed. This is talking about long distances.
Yeah, well,
miles.
they can travel at a sustained speed for a long time.
So it can run for 4 hours at a time.
Originally, in mythology, these creatures is that they were used to communicate between tribes before they were hijacked for a more nefarious purpose. Originally, they were created to be able to transform into an animal, like an eagle or a wolf or something that can run very far to take messages between tribes, until its purpose and intent was perverted for more evil reasons.
Yeah.
Right. Skinwalkers have a tendency to hang around graveyards and can dig up graves at an impossibly fast speed.
I think what this one's referring to is a ghoul and not a skinwalker.
Well, but this kind of goes with the rakes too. The rakes are known for the fingers that they have, which are made for digging into corpses and stuff, but they could also be used to dig graves.
Yeah, I don't think this is...
Well, they might just... Yeah, I mean...
Typically, from what I understand, is skinwalkers like to hunt rather than... Anyways, go ahead.
So next one, while they can take many forms, many people who see them today describe them as hollowed-out dog-like animals.
Yes, they're always described as very emaciated and skinny-looking creatures.
I've seen this video of the skinwalker, where they call it a rake, and it's like it looks like a creepy humanoid. Yeah.
Read the next one.
Skinwalkers are said to recruit more skinwalkers themselves. There is some dispute in how this happens, but some say that there is an official ceremony and that skinwalkers only take their form with a gathering of people and specific chants.
I'm not sure about that one.
That's very fucking specific.
I don't know about that one. I haven't heard much about that one.
Eyes wide shut real quick.
Go to the next one.
With all of their advantages, it is said that you can kill a skinwalker if you call them by their true human name.
I don't think so. I've heard that one, normal weapons and equipment don't work on them. You can harm them and slow them down. However, you can't kill them without the proper. Geez, it's like they have these materials like white cedar and like gold ash, things like that. You tip something that can penetrate its skin like an arrow or a spear,
So
and
they
you
have,
stab it with that.
They have these MacGuffin killers like vampires do.
Yeah, it's essentially MacGuffin killers. If you essentially.
I'll read this one. Skinwalkers are most commonly encountered near native reservations, though they have been seen all over the United States. Skinwalker Ranch, that's pretty eponymously named, is Utah is most famous. Some people believe the rake, which is commonly encountered in the Northeast, is similar to a skinwalker. We just talked about that.
Yeah. And yes, they are common near reservations, mostly because they're Native American witches.
Alright, cool.
Right. Their build is pretty OP if you think about it. I mean, they can't be killed by normal weapons. They can run at extremely fast speeds for long distances. They can take the shape of anything they fucking want and kill. That's pretty much the most OP cryptid out there.
Yeah, no, they're pretty fucking intimidating.
So don't get
scary.
Don't go into the woods, people. Just don't fucking go into the woods.
The good news is they hang out typically in very deep woods where you will never find
or
them.
like scary dark places where you shouldn't go.
Yeah, just don't go to places you shouldn't go, and you'll be all right.
Don't go camping, guys.
Honestly, fuck camping.
Like camping.
Dude, unless it's at a music festival.
Yeah, that's what you
yeah, if you're around
partying
tons of
and
people,
drugs.
you got to be around people when you camp.
Yeah, exactly. People. You're around people there.
All right, Derek, pick a new cryptid to talk about. Pick
what's a
any
new
cryptid you want.
It's a new one.
Let me think. Yeah, I mean, name some top big ones. You know that you know of. We don't have to get into them.
Go to this one. Go up. Go to this one. Up. That one, right there.
I've heard of this one.
The Mokali Mbembe. Yes, it's deep in the Congo. It's essentially a sauropod dinosaur, which is kind of like a brontosaurus. You know,
So
4 legs,
water-dwelling.
long neck.
Which is just a land
Eats
version
plants.
of a plesiosaur.
It's like Littlefoot in the Land Before Time.
This kind of sounds similar to the serpent-esque sea creature topic we were discussing.
But
Yeah.
instead of flippers, it's got feet.
Flippers, it's got feet. Hangs out in the swamps of the Congo.
And eats
where
a
all
bunch
the
of
real,
leaves.
where all the real shit's at.
You know, it is.
Yeah.
This
Read about the mythology of it, Derek. Give us the backstory.
During the early 20th century, descriptions of the entity increasingly reflected public fascination with dinosaurs, including aspects of particular dinosaur species now known among scientists to be incorrect, which is not true. But the entity became increasingly described in Africa. Let's see here.
Well, okay, so this is interesting, but I think where we should go from here is talking about more the regions that we go into, and the Congo has a bunch of stuff.
Oh yeah, you know what I'm gonna do? Cryptids in the Congo.
Cryptids in the Congo. I mean, honestly, we were talking about before how the top half of North America has all of these sightings and stuff, and we were talking about the Appalachian Mountains. Like, these things tend to occur in certain regions, and for some reason, the Congo tends to have a ton.
Oh, here we go. We got a big list. All right, just some of the. I'll just name a couple and then we'll go into some. But I just want to give you the names of a couple of these guys, and I'll just list them off and then we can go.
Holy shit!
Describe
we got the Kasai Rex, the 50-foot Congo snake, the African peacock, the Mokele Membe.
What's this spider thing, bro? The Jabba feet 4, the Jabba hut.
It's Jabba Fofi.
Yeah.
Boogeyman.
Bogeyman.
The world map.
Damn.
Yeah.
That looks like a Dimetrodon.
The Niger fire spitter.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Bunch of lake monsters.
No, I don't fuck with the Congo.
Congo has got some shit going on there.
Oh shoot! It keeps going.
Oh god.
We
What
got
is that thing?
a loco.
A loco looks crazy.
Doppelgangers. Or the Billy 8.
Damn. Look at the Migas. What the hell is that? Holy shit.
Yeah, that one looks crazy.
Looks like
on that one
Cthulhu,
for
bro.
sure. Mulilo slug. Oh, I hate bugs. No.
So we just told you not go camping. Definitely don't go camping in the Congo.
Congo.
Get the fuck out
The
of
Congo is too real, bro. I don't
You
fuck
know,
with the Congo.
no,
They got
hell no.
cartels.
here.
They got.
Let's be real. We're not trying to be like shitting on Africa. This is just the Congo.
It's
Like
just
it's
the Congo.
just the Congo.
Listen,
forest.
man, I'll go anywhere but deep Congo.
Deep Congo is not
Deep
the
Congo.
place.
Dude,
to go.
I kind of want to go to the Congo.
Man, there ain't
You-
nothing in Congo, but.
Hold on,
Give
alright,
yourself
this
a
is the
couple
first
guys.
one. The Kasai Rex is a gigantic cryptid from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. It is said to be
Rhinoceri.
theropod dinosaurs such as a Tyrannosaurus rex, though it has been depicted as a huge lizard as well as a terrestrial crocodile.
So I think that Congo is where the actual Jurassic Park is. And any shit that's going on there with dinosaurs, it's centrally located in Congo.
Well, let me read you the story of it, the Kasai Valley Report. In 1932, Swedish plantation owner John Johnson, was traveling with a servant in the Kasai Valley. They encountered a rhinoceros and tried to avoid detection when a large creature rushed from the undergrowth and attacked the rhino. Johnson fainted, and the servant ran away. When he recovered, he saw the creature eating the rhino. It was reddish in color with blackish-colored stripes, he later said. It had a long snout and numerous teeth. He decided the creature, 43 feet long, was a Tyrannosaurus. He also said the legs were thick. It reminded me of a lion, but built for speed.
Damn. All right. Well,
So
we got that.
T-Rex.
We got that. Well, what else we got?
Go to the Migas.
Go to the
Migas.
Oh, yeah, the
That's
Migas.
absolutely fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We're just all talking at once.
There's nothing about that. Oh,
What is it though? A mythological squid-like creature.
it's Gorgon, like Medusa.
Yeah, it looks like
Oh.
something from the Godzilla.
Yeah,
movie.
this thing looks absolutely crazy. And then there's like a
So they
squid.
got-
What the fuck? It says a squid?
Yeah.
Bro, it's like an African Congo swamp squid.
It's a
that stands upright.
That's crazy.
That's awesome.
They got their own lake stuff going on in the Congo too.
Yeah,
Lakes are
find
everywhere.
some other crazy shit. Nah, well, that's like another
Yeah,
walk.
no.
Don't pick
Let's-
that
Look
up.
at that spider.
Go to the spider. Yeah, read about
The
the spider.
Java Fofi, or Jiva Fofi, also known as the Congolese giant spider,
Nice.
is a spider-like cryptid. I'm assuming this is like some Harry Potter-esque shit.
They dig tunnels. They dig tunnels under tree roots, so they're trap door spiders, man. You don't fuck with the Congo.
Oh,
Don't fuck with the
damn,
Congo.
dude, yeah, no more Congo for
If you
me.
want to end up underneath a tree, go to the Congo.
So the spider lays a trap, and then you just fall into it, and it eats you?
Yep.
Yeah, you know.
Dude, that's some
That's
King
some Lord of the
Kong
Rings
Skull
shit.
Island shit.
Yeah, man.
Have you seen that movie where there are spiders like on top of them?
Let me read some of the sightings. The very first sighting of the Java Fofi was a Western observer in the 1980s near Lake Nyasa, which the British missionary author Smiles. They came upon the creatures. I'm just going to paraphrase it a little bit. They got themselves tangled in an enormous web, and two giant spiders, which were 2 and 4 feet in length, came out of their web and attacked them. Symes was bitten but managed to escape after shooting them, one of them with his pistol.
Fuck.
He subsequently developed lots of fever, and all this, he ultimately died from the poison.
So they're 4-foot poisonous spiders.
They're gigantic spiders. They ground well. They prey supposedly on antelope, birds, other small game. Reported by locals seeing these things, a couple feet in length. They're sneaky. They hide. You know, this isn't something you're just going to see around the house. Anyways, go ahead. Let's
They don't-
Cool, giant spider.
They don't.
Sorry, we're just geeking out over this
They
giant
don't
spider.
trap flies. They trap.
I'm
birds
just
in their
kidding,
legs,
dude.
guys. That's crazy.
Derek wants us to move this along. He's giving
No,
us
I
hand
just
signs.
want to look at as many as we can. I'm here all night, baby. I got nowhere to be.
We got a. What's the doppelganger?
Ooh, what's this
What's
thing?
No, get the doppelganger. This looks like a humanoid crypto. I said crypto, not cryptid. No, it doesn't look indigenous to Africa.
I think that's.
You haven't heard of a doppelganger before?
I've heard of it.
Dude,
but
a doppelganger is essentially the spitting image of somebody else. Like you
Well,
see
yeah, I know
somebody
that.
okay, then what do you? That's what it
He's
is.
trying to see what its localization to Africa is all about.
Yeah, I know. I don't think he goes into that.
This is just more about overall doppelganger.
Yeah, there's just doppelgangers that have been
Which,
seen there.
by the way, sounds a lot like a
Skinwalker.
Dude, this looks awesome. Kongamato.
Another pterodactyl.
It's like it's a pterodactyl.
Large. What kind of saur is this?
A pterodactyl.
A pseudo.
Petrosaur.
Petrosaur.
Pterosaur.
Pterosaur.
The P is silent.
P and
P is
T.
silent, people.
Okay, I was wondering what was going on. Pterosaurs are flying reptiles that have been extinct, presumably. But yeah.
And this is a pretty big cryptid right here.
Yeah, this is a huge one.
The Mothman could possibly be...
Talk about the Thunderbird in
The
relationship.
Thunderbird.
Yeah, we're gonna go into bird cryptids right now.
The Thunderbird is one that
Bro,
is local to Native Americans.
I gotta go to the bathroom. I just threw it in my mouth. Holy shit. Keep going.
Sorry.
Resetting.
Michael had to go to the bathroom, so now he's back.
Technical difficulties.
Thank you for your patience.
So now we're gonna talk about bird cryptids. So now we're gonna talk about bird cryptids.
We don't talk about bird cryptids, but we really talking about pterodactyls, honestly.
They're not all pterodactyls.
They're pretty close.
Well, to say that every single bird cryptid is a pterodactyl is a little... That's my service to bird cryptids.
They're all pterodactyls.
No, man.
Or all different types of dinosaurs that are birds.
Yeah. I mean, like the Native American Thunderbird legend about a gigantic bird with a 25, 30-foot wingspan, all black, head of a crocodile.
Yeah.
That doesn't freaking give it away.
Flying around. You type in Thunderbird and
featherless.
The first thing that comes up from that Thunderbird is Mozilla Thunderbird, but then there's Thunderbird mythology because we ain't trying to get that Firefox.
I think Thunderbirds are living pterodactyls that still exist because they're often described as featherless and black.
Check this shit out. The Northwest Coast, of course, it's always on the Northwest, Pacific Northwest Coast. It's also seen in the Great Lakes and Great Plains, Thunderbirds, and it was documented by a lot of indigenous people in America, natives, and
they're not tees.
Similar creatures are the rainbird or the pomola, and literally there's a totem pole, there's depicting this Thunderbird, it's like a picture right here, and literally, I've seen this totem pole like 1,000,000 times, or totem poles like this that depict different cryptids and stuff, but I never thought what a totem pole was or like what it symbolized.
Well, and the top of the totem pole is where the Thunderbird resides, and that's symbolizing the fact that that's the top rank in its culture and society, and this is kind of like a god to them. Like they would see it flying over and be like, "Hey, that's God rolled by."
Oh.
Yeah, that's kind of how they saw those totem poles. It's highly likely, like Michael said, the description of these Thunderbirds is featherless, head that is unlike a bird by the most part, one with a lot of teeth and stuff like that, completely black. All that leads me to think is that it's a pterodactyl. So I think Thunderbird, not exactly the most interesting kind of cryptid.
I think it's pretty interesting. I think, like, I find pterodactyls and birds and stuff, I feel like anything that flies in the sky or lives in the ocean or lives in the woods is going to be fascinating. You know?
Yeah. That's pretty much every cryptid.
Yeah, and then there's also the legend of Mothman, which is...
Let's wrap it up on Mothman.
Why?
Okay, alright.
We haven't talked about him, have we?
Well, I mean, yeah, we'll talk about him.
So Mothman was localized in West Virginia, Point Pleasant?
Yeah, Point Pleasant area. Man-sized bird. Multiple reportings and pictures of the bird by
Not a bird, a moth.
Well, you look online at what it is, and it's basically this black, almost angelic-looking figure in the sky, which is
You're
huge.
saying not a bird, it's a moth, then you tell me it's a pterodactyl.
If it flies, it's a pterodactyl.
So bullshit.
Anyway.
Oh, dude, this is related to the collapse of the Silver Bridge, which is famous. and 46 people died, and the incident of this happening grew the legend of Mothman because Mothman was seen at this bridge multiple times, as well as during the collapse. All right, yeah, Michael, what did you want to talk about?
I'm kind of, you know, wrapped up for tonight on what I want to say about cryptids. I don't know how you guys feel.
I mean, we covered the main cryptid things, right? So we're talking Sasquatch, we're talking pterodactyls, plesiosaurs, Congo. You know, those are really where all the big cryptid stuff is. I mean, I think we should touch a little bit more on if you're next to a Great Lake or if you're somewhere in the Pacific Northwest.
Oh fuck, dog man.
Get the
oh no. Oh man, dude, I wanted to talk about. Okay, shit.
What?
Oh well, maybe we need to make a part 2 or what?
What?